Sergei Dovlatov was a Russian journalist and writer. Biography. Dovlatov was born on September 3, 1941 in Ufa, Republic of Bashkiria, USSR, where his family had been evacuated during World War II from Leningrad. His mother, Nora Dovlatova, was Armenian and worked as a proofreader, and his father, Drabkin, was Jewish and a theater director. After 1945 he lived with his mother in Leningrad. Dovlatov studied at the Finnish department of Leningrad State University, but flunked after 2.5 years. He was drafted into the Soviet internal troops and served as a prison guard in high-security camps. Later, he earned his living as a journalist in various newspapers and magazines in Leningrad and then as a correspondent of the Tallinn newspaper, Sovetskaja Estonia. He supplemented his income by being a summer tour guide in the Pushkin Preserve, a museum near Pskov. Dovlatov wrote prose fiction, but his numerous attempts to get published in the Soviet Union were in vain. Unable to publish in the Soviet Union, Dovlatov circulated his writings through samizdat and by having them smuggled into Western Europe for publication in foreign journals, an activity that caused his expulsion from the Union of Soviet Journalists in 1976. The typeset formes of his first book were destroyed under the order of the KGB. In 1976, some stories by Dovlatov had been published in Western Russian-language magazines, including Continent, Time and Us, resulting in his expulsion from the Union of Journalists of the USSR. In 1979 Dovlatov emigrated from the Soviet Union with his mother, Nora, and came to live with his wife and daughter in New York, where he later co-edited The New American, a liberal, Russian-language émigré newspaper. In the mid-1980s, Dovlatov finally achieved recognition as a writer, being printed in the prestigious magazine, The New Yorker. Dovlatov died on August 24, 1990 in New York and was buried at the Mount Hebron Cemetery. Works. Sergei Dovlatov published 12 books in the USA and Europe during his 12 years as an immigrant. In the Soviet Union, the writer was known from samizdat and Radio Liberty. After his death and the fall of the Soviet Union, numerous collections of his short stories were published in Russia. Published during his lifetime: The Invisible Book, N. Arbor, Ardis, 1977. Solo on Underwood, Notebooks, Paris, 1980. The Compromise, New York, Knopf, 1981. Bazone, A Prison Camp Guard Story, 1982. Pushkin Hills, 1983. The March of the Single People, Holyoke, New England Publishing Co., 1983. Hours, Ann Arbor, 1983. Demarquee of Enthusiasts, Paris, 1985. Craft, A Story in Two Parts, Ann Arbor, 1985. A Foreign Woman, New York, Rossica Publishers, 1986. The Suitcase, Tenafly, 1986. The Performance, New York, Rossica Publishers, 1987. Not Only Brodsky, Russian Culture in Portraits and Jokes, New York, Word, 1990. Notebooks, New York, Word, 1990. Affiliate, New York, Word, 1990. Critical Perception. Joseph Brodsky said of Dovlatov, "He is the only Russian writer whose works will be read all the way through, and that the decisive thing is his tone, which every member of a democratic society can recognize. The individual who won't let himself be cast in the role of a victim, who is not obsessed with what makes him different." Quotes. One can revere Tolstoy's mind, delight in Pushkin's finesse, appreciate the spiritual quest of Dostoevsky, Gogol's humor, and so on. Yet Chekhov is the only one I would want to resemble. Literary style. Dovlatov's rule that, as he said, limited the prosaic just like rhyme limits the poet, was to build the sentences so that there were no two words that started with the same letter. Legacy. On June 26, 2014, the New York City Council named the intersection of 63rd Drive and 108th Street, Sergei Dovlatov Way. The petition to request this honor was signed by 18,000 people. In the same year, a new edition, translated by his daughter Catherine Dovlatov, of the author's Pushkin Hills was published. The work was nominated for Best Translated Book Award. The opening ceremony was held at the corner of 108th Street and 63rd Drive on September 7, 2014. 3 Russian television news stations recorded the event, and the celebration continued at the late author's home nearby.